No. We'll do it live! Fuck it!
I'm Liz.
This is Surly Amy from skepchick.org.
I'm Keith from Sydney, Australia.
Hello, I'm Daryl Ray, author of Sex and God and The God Virus.
This is Rebecca Watson of skepchick.org.
I'm Vivian Wheeler from Planned Parenthood.
I am Devin Napoli from Planned Parenthood.
I am Richard Carrier.
I am Monette Richards from Secular Woman.
I am Stephen Olson from Carl Sagan Dance Party.
I'm JT Eberhard, and I'm a he-thinker who loves the she-thinkers.
I'm Debbie Goddard. I'm from the Center for Inquiry and African Americans for Humanism, and I'm a human thinker.
I'm a Faisal, and I'm a he-thinker, she-thinker, they-thinker, it-thinker.
Hello, everybody. This is David Fitzgerald, and oh yes, I am a she-thinker.
Hello, and welcome to Secular She-Thinkers, where secular girls geek out and justifiably rage about the week's news. I'm your host, Dory, joined by my co-host, the Dirty Nerdy.
I'm going to make Dory laugh as much as possible tonight.
Tonight we're...
I win, already.
Yay. Tonight we're celebrating Queer Christmas.
Woo.
Yay! Which is really just like a combination of a Christmas episode and queer shit. But
yeah.
It sounded cute, you know, like the alliteration thing. I don't know.
Is that alliteration?
I don't know. If it sounds like it's alliterating, does it? I don't know. Whatever. Fuck it.
Queer and cruh. We're drunk enough for that to be alliteration.
Yeah.
It's close enough.
We'll also have Bosses and Trolls and a stupid sexist song, but first, a word from our sponsor. She-Thinkers is sponsored by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at audibletrial.com/She-Thinkers. Audible has over 100,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. For every fan who signs up for a free trial, She-Thinkers gets $15. It's a great way to help us pay for the podcast, even if you don't have a lot of money. Again, go to audibletrial.com/She-Thinkers to download any free audiobook of your choice. That's SHETHINKERS, She-Thinkers. Hi, you're doing jazz hands now, too.
I thought I said last time that we always do jazz hands.
Do we? Okay. I thought you were picking on me for doing it.
Maybe I was. But for you listeners...
Yeah, it sounds like something I'd do.
It does. For you listeners at home, listening at home...
like you do.
If you sing along with us, it's mandatory that you do jazz hands at the end. When you say She-Thinkers. You're like, She-Thinkers, jazz hands. Okay.
You wanna roast some trolls?
All right.
Whatever it is that we do to trolls.
I don't know.
Vote on them.
Make fun of them. Yell at them. Fuck you, trolls. That's what I do. All right. So first up, we've got these men's rights activists.
Oh, good.
And
MRAs never get old.
Take the word activists, however you need to. Basically, they're like, hey, we're going to be all activisty and actually do something. And what they did was basically trolled a college's rape reporting system. It wasn't even the actual reporting system that would get anyone, like, in trouble. It was their anonymous reporting form for sexual violence at Occidental College. Basically, there was something on Reddit that went up saying that they created an online form to get people, like, to charge people with rape, and the victim doesn't have to prove anything or reveal their identity. Oh my god. But what actually happens with this form is that they just track the trends of sexual violence on their campus, and if somebody is named in the form, like the perpetrator is, then they get pulled to the side and said, hey, somebody filled out a thing against you. If it's true, cut that shit out, type of thing. No, they don't, exactly. They don't get any type of actual, that, like, the dean of students doesn't actually do anything to them. They just review the sexual misconduct policy and let them know, like, that they did something wrong. But since it's anonymous reporting and the person who reports it doesn't have to show any evidence or even reveal who they are, they don't use it to press charges or kick anybody off of campus. Nothing like that happens. It's mostly used to report trends and to keep up with it on campus. So these Redditors thought, oh my god, it would be great if we just, like, put in a bunch of false rape reports. So they started filing a bunch of false female-on-female assaults. They looked up the name of like a women's studies professor. I can't remember if it was a professor or the dean or whatever, and named her as a perpetrator. I don't know. It was just ridiculous. And so if you ever wonder why I don't consider MRAs to be real activists, this is why. When they actually get together to do something and accomplish it, it's usually terrible and it hurts people.
And it's because they weren't even paying attention.
Yeah, they weren't. It's like they seem to think this is some sort of gotcha system to hurt men on campus when it doesn't hurt anybody. In fact, it encourages survivors to come forward and be able to report without all the stigma that comes with reporting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, fuck them. They're terrible. I do want to give a shout out to the writer over at Man Boobs. He's the one I think who first reported on it. I love him. Dave Futrell is his name.
I just love that site.
Yeah, he said, it's one thing to criticize an anonymous reporting system because of its potential for abuse. This is something else entirely. The moderators of men's rights have done nothing to stop their subreddit being used to interfere with the school's attempt to assist rape survivors, including men. That's the thing. This thing can be used by men too.
Yeah, but they're being sexist and assuming it's only for women.
Yeah, they are. It's bullshit. That's what they always do. They always insist, and they insist that only women can cry rape. That's their words, not mine.
Yeah.
But they ignore all the times. They ignore the fact that men can be victims too. And then they claim that feminists are the ones who ignore male victims, and it pisses me off. I just can't even with them. All right, the next one is Congress being douchebags.
Yep.
Yeah, I have these all listed on the show notes as MRAs being douchebags, Congress being douchebags. Do we really need anything else?
Yeah, this is Caitlin is the one who shared this one with us. And
yeah, I thought she would be on the show.
Yeah.
But I guess not.
So we're going to have to fumble our way through this somehow.
All right. Fumble.
So...
I'm sorry.
Basically, as part of the budgeting nightmare that is Congress lately, two of the things that the Republicans approved in the Bipartisan Budget Act of 2013 includes a lot of cuts to a whole bunch of shit, but one of which is salaries of officers in the military.
Yep.
So that's fun. Merry fucking Christmas. Go eat a bag of dicks.
What I don't get is that, like, there are parts of our budget that goes towards military, like giant, enormous parts that could be cut without hurting veterans and active duty service members.
And they're separate things anyway, so you have to go out of your way to fuck over veterans. It's not an accident.
You really do.
It's not like, oh, well, they cut our defense budget, therefore they're hurting the troops. No, it doesn't work that way.
When you cut the defense budget, it's all different departments, it's all different accounts. So if you cut the defense department or spending by like 1%, they don't just do 1% across the board on all the accounts. They have to decide which accounts to reduce. And so the fact that they do this is just ridiculous. I'm like, really? You
Yeah.
Of all the bloated amount of spending that the Defense Department does, I don't consider veteran and active duty service member benefits to be one of those.
Nope. I'd say we'd probably consider them inadequate.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Go eat a bag of dicks, Congress, with your bipartisan nonsense. Bipartisan my ass.
They were being dicks bipartisanly.
Yeah.
So, is that progress? I don't know.
I guess we can just tell the Democrats and the Republicans to go eat a bag of dicks, since they both did it together.
Yep. They did it together.
Yep.
Yay, togetherness.
Woohoo.
I don't know whether to be happy that they're doing it together or not. Like, at least they're getting something done. Even
something
if it is
bad.
even if it is fucking people over, they got something done. I don't know. And the next one, I classified it as a troll, but we could have just easily put it in boss, depending on which side we looked at it from.
Alrighty.
But basically, the ACLU is filing, I think it's a class action. No, it's not a class action lawsuit. It's a lawsuit on behalf of a pregnant woman who was discriminated against because of her pregnancy at work. And we've talked about this a little bit on the show before about how pregnant women are discriminated against.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, she had complications early on in her pregnancy, and her doctor put her on bed rest. After the doctor then approved her to go back to work, and as long as she didn't do any lifting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, her employer routinely grants this kind of accommodation to workers with other lifting restrictions, but they refuse to give it to her.
Why? What the fuck difference does that make?
It doesn't say here why, but basically she was told that she can either continue working and not have any restrictions, or she can take an unpaid leave. Now, I don't know if they would have fired her for this, but I would have just been like, all right, I'll continue working, but I will refuse to lift shit. And if you try to fire me, I've got this doctor's thing. I don't know.
You know.
I'm not in her position, so I can't say exactly what I would do or what their punishment would have been for that. But, you know. So she worked for more than 30 days, unable to pay for anything. She wasn't getting a paycheck.
Yeah.
And then I think eventually her doctor said she could go back to work again, but she, you know, it's that thing where it's like, okay, he says I can go back to work, but now I'm later on in my pregnancy. What if I need light duty again? What's going to happen? So the ACLU has taken up this case and filed suit against the employer because this is bullshit.
Yep.
I don't care how many times you claim pregnancy isn't a disease. Pregnancy is fucking hard on the body.
Yep.
So shut the fuck up, assholes. I cannot stand this idea. It's like, well, it's not a disease. I'm like, so?
It's a medical condition you're dealing with at the moment.
The flu is a virus.
Right.
It's not a disease. Does that count as a disease? I don't know. But I'm like, it's still affecting major systems in your body and can still cause a lot of problems if you don't follow doctor's orders.
Yeah.
So I just can't understand. And half the time the people who claim pregnancy isn't a disease are also supposedly pro-life. I don't know if the employers are in this case, but most of the time when I hear that bullshit, they're also pro-life, but they also don't want to believe women who say they're on light duty and stuff. So it's like, you're pro-life, but you don't want me to do the things that will keep me and my baby healthy? Really? I don't get this.
Well, see, that's why they're really just anti-choice.
I know they are.
Yeah.
I don't know if their
I love
employer...
making fun of
Yeah.
anti-choicers.
She was a nursing assistant. I don't know if her employer was specifically pro-life, but I just know that I hear that as a justification all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And it pisses me off. So the employers are trolls here, and the ACLU, I guess, is a boss, but we got lots of bosses today, which is weird.
Yeah.
Usually we have more trolls.
We have more bosses than trolls this week.
I know.
Mostly because I just didn't want to look up trolls.
Yeah,
I've just been crazy busy this week, so.
I was just lazy and didn't want to look up trolls.
Yeah, you know, fuck show prep.
All right.
Let's just do the show.
That's what I say every week. Why don't you ever listen to me? You're always like, oh my god, Dirty Nerdy, we gotta get prepared. I'm like, we'll do it on the show. So who do you think should be the biggest troll here?
I'm gonna go with the MRAs because they're just so fucking dumb. I don't even know how to deal with that shit.
Alright.
So,
I think
they're like wrong in like 6 different ways in this story.
At least 6.
Yeah.
At least 6 different ways. If you were keeping count at home. I think I'm going to have to go with the MRAs as well. Just because this is like the quintessential example of the bullshit they pull.
Right.
It's like, if you ever needed an example of why they're so terrible, this is it.
Right.
I mean, they do other terrible things too, but this is just, like, there's no defending this. So, yeah.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Exactly. Oh my god. We needed a drop for that.
Right.
All right, who are we sticking on the trolls this week?
We're going back to Crazy Eyes because she's my favorite. I just like using her the most.
Okay.
So, Crazy Eyes against the MRAs.
I will cut you! I will cut you, bitch! Don't make me cut you! You know where the fuck you are, bitch! You don't know me!
Go Crazy Eyes.
We always laugh with that one.
We need to watch that show again.
Hell yeah.
I really like it. Okay, so on to bosses. Yay, bosses!
Yay, bosses!
We have 5 bosses tonight. Can you believe it?
That's fucking awesome.
We only had 3 trolls and we have 5 bosses. This is so cool. And one of our trolls, we could have easily spun that as a boss.
Yep.
So, there you go. I'm sure there was other trolly behavior happening, but I ignored it.
Yep.
Alright, this one was fucking awesome. So, it almost ended up on our troll list until this morning. A gay vice principal was fired from a Catholic high school after he got married. And basically, he told that there were students outside, like, upset because I guess they saw that he was leaving and they wanted to know why. And he's like, oh, I got married to my boyfriend or whatever last week, and then they fired me. And so students were outraged. And like I said, this was on the troll list. And we were going to call out the Catholic high school for being assholes. It's like they were okay with him being gay as long as he wasn't happy. Basically. That's what I hear.
You just need to be celibate and unhappy with your life.
Be gay and unhappy. And there was no way that they could know he was celibate before.
Right.
I mean, really?
Oh, now that you're married, that's just crazy talk. Apparently.
Because apparently gay people follow their non-premarital sex rules, but not their no-gay sex rules. Anyways, the reason this got moved over to boss category is because all those students that were upset decided to stage a sit-in. And so many of them did it that the school, like, has no recourse. They can't put all of them in detention. They launched an online petition to call the Catholic Church to end its opposition to same-sex marriage and to reinstate the vice principal. Students at neighboring Catholic high schools followed. We're doing the same thing.
Nice.
And there was supposed to be a rally tonight or something for it, and
that's badass.
I know, these students are awesome. Yeah, there was a rally for Friday for today being organized by students.
Sweet.
This is in Seattle, I think. Yeah, in Seattle, Washington. So you students are awesome, and good job fighting the man there.
Always fight the man.
And it's Catholic Church, so it literally is the man.
Yep.
I mean, really. They got mad at nuns for being too feminist.
Right.
All right.
Oh, you know what I realized? We could have put that fucking Duck Dynasty story in the trolls.
Fuck the Duck Dynasty guy. I don't give a shit.
That pretty much sums up our opinion on that. I didn't watch him before. I'm not going to watch him now.
I know. Bigoted guy says bigoted shit and he has to deal with the consequences. The end.
Right?
Moving on.
So we got awesome Catholic kids, and now Obama is the boss this week.
Yeah, he did something cool this week.
This is pretty fucking cool. So he basically has said that he's not going to appear at Russia's Olympic Games. So instead, he sent a bunch of gay athletes for his delegation. Which is...
Wait. Doesn't this mean that Obama's a troll, though?
Right?
He's trolling the Russians.
He's trolling the Russians.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, he's sending Billie Jean King, who, if you don't know her, is a big old lesbian tennis player.
Big old lesbian. Okay, I'll stop doing
that. And the other is Caitlin Cahow, who I've never heard of before, but she's very attractive looking. She's a hockey player.
Is she a ginger?
I think so.
It almost looks like in this picture. I like it even more. Gay ginger. Yeah.
Yep. She's pretty attractive, that's all I'm saying. And Billie Jean King is
I'm sure she's also a great hockey player. Which
Damn
is
straight.
More important.
Yep.
Dory.
Yes, I agree. Just a little drunk.
Just a little bit.
Yep.
But yeah, Obama's a boss for doing that. For
trolling the Russians.
He's a boss for trolling the Russians. Can I re-vote for him to be the biggest troll this week? But like a good troll?
A good troll?
Can we have good trolls?
He's just a boss troll.
I think you posted this one too.
Which one? Oh yeah, this one was cool. So there's this kid. Hang on, I'm trying to load the story.
Oh, mine just loaded.
He lives in, is it London?
Somewhere where they use pounds.
Well, I know he's in the UK. He's in England. I'm trying to find the city. All right, here it goes. Finally, it's loading.
Okay.
So a teenager named Jordan Cox, who lives in London, is one of those like extreme coupon people. Like he hunts down coupons and shit like that in order to like pay nothing for groceries all the time, apparently. And this time was his biggest buy that he did. He got $600 worth of groceries or 600 pounds worth of groceries for 4p, so 4 pennies. And then he gave all of the food to a local charity doorstep, which gave all the food to disadvantaged families. So basically, he scammed a shit ton of coupons and stuff, and then took all the food and gave it to the food bank, which is badass. And he does it all the time, apparently.
Yeah, he even said that he doesn't really know ahead of time how much the total will be, because it's hard to work that out. And so he was really shocked when it came to just 4 pennies. I bought a pair of jeans once for 1 penny because they were having a special sale on the jeans, but they were having another sale that allowed you to stack sales. You know, like in Magic, how stuff can stack.
Yeah.
It was like that, and so the first sale took off like so much percentage, and then the next sale took off like $10.
Yeah.
Which ended up being negative. And they were like, we can't charge you negative, so 1 penny. And I was like, okay.
Sweet.
1 penny. It was pretty awesome. They don't fit me anymore, though.
Whatever.
I know. Still, I got them for 1 penny.
Yep.
All right.
Who's our next boss?
I'm not looking. Oh, Senator Elizabeth Warren. I did do this one. Basically, right now, it's legal for employers to do credit checks on job applicants.
Hooray!
And they can deny you a job based on your credit score. Well, here's the thing. If you're poor, you generally won't have a good credit score.
Right.
Because you tend to, it's not that you're irresponsible, it's just that you tend to not be able to pay for necessary things. Things like school loans and hospital bills, things like that, can really negatively affect your credit. And so it sucks that you're trying to get a better job, but you can't because they deny you because you have shitty credit. It's like, well, how am I supposed to get good credit if I'm expected to work off this shitty minimum wage job? Like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
So Senator Elizabeth Warren is introducing a bill to stop credit reports for job applications, which I'm excited about.
We can't put it into classism. Oh wait, this won't do that, but
it won't do
it'll
that.
help at least. At least it'll get rid of one form of institutionalized classism.
Yeah. It's called the Equal Employment for All Act. So Elizabeth Warren, you're a boss.
Hell
Good
yeah.
job. I heard about this like a year ago, and it pissed me off so much, and it terrifies me because I don't think I have very good credit. So, yay.
Woohoo.
All right, and
do you want me to do the obligatory or required trans story that we have every week?
You can do this one.
We have to have a trans story because
Yeah.
I'm trans and therefore it's required.
Wait,
it's in the queer Bible somewhere.
What about bi stories and ginger stories? We don't ever have those.
No. I'm just like a queer token in the queer community, so have to have a token trans story every week. That's how it works.
Okay.
I don't know. Just run with it.
All right, fine. Go ahead.
Okay.
Do whatever the fuck you want.
So, New Jersey basically passed a bill that would allow trans people to obtain a new birth certificate. It's similar. It follows similar rules to what you would have to go through to get a United States passport. So, you don't necessarily have to show proof of sex reassignment surgery when you get your passport, and now that's the same for New Jersey. All that you need for either of them is basically a note from a regular doctor of yours who says, "Yup, this client of mine is trans. You should go ahead and change their birth certificate." Because, don't be a dick. Or a non-gendered insult of some kind.
Yes.
I suppose.
Whatever. I don't know. We tell people to eat bags of dicks all the time.
That's
and
true.
Now you're worried about this? Somebody called one of our show's topics actually eat a bag of dicks. That was the actual topic. Sorry.
So yeah, I mean, hooray New Jersey for making it easy for trans people to change their birth certificate.
Yeah, that does.
Of course, there's some bullshit quotes from assholes, but I'm not gonna read them.
I didn't even read the bullshit quotes.
Never read the comments.
No. I was like, this is a good thing. Don't read the comments.
Or the Republican response. Just
Or
don't
that.
read either of those.
No. The Republican responses are usually just as good as reading the comments.
Except there's punctuation in them. Maybe capitalization.
That's put in
really
later.
The only difference.
That's put in later by their
journalists.
age. Yeah. The journalists add that. No, it's true. I was
Hashtag style choice.
I was in journalism for a while, and they were like, what do you do if you're trying to quote someone and they don't speak very well? And they're like, well, you can change it as, a little bit to make it comprehensible. Which was sad because most of us were interviewing college students and college professors and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
God damn it, I gotta do this all the time.
Damn it. All right. Who do you think should be the boss this week?
I think mine's gonna have to be Obama for being a trolley boss. Or
Trolley
a bossy
boss.
troll, I don't know.
I like bossy troll. He's so bossy.
Right?
I'm gonna have to go with the student sit-in.
That was pretty awesome too.
Yeah, just because that sounds like something that I would want to be involved with.
Right?
I wouldn't want the original situation to happen, but if it did, I would want to be involved with the counter-protests of that. So,
yeah,
that's awesome.
Start a riot. I think that's something every teenager should do at some point.
Start a riot?
Yeah.
Like burning cars and throwing
No.
bricks in windows?
They could be a non-violent riot. Like a sit-in.
Like quiet riot?
Yeah. Or a teenage riot. Huh?
Okay. Or pussy riot?
Yeah.
Are we going to keep doing this? More song lyrics?
Oh, fuck, we forgot Pussy Riot got freed.
Oh, shit. Yeah, Pussy Riot got freed.
So, yay, Pussy Riot. You're a boss, too.
Yay. Well, mostly only because I think the law that put them in jail to begin with got changed. And so they retroactively, their sentence got reduced. But still.
Whatever. Yay, Pussy Riot's free.
Okay.
All right, so those are our 3 bosses now.
Okay.
We're going to have Obama, Pussy Riot, and the Catholic kids.
Obama, Pussy Riot, and Catholic kids.
Yep.
Y'all finish the end of that sentence there.
Meanwhile, enjoy our boss of the week. Our boss speech. Yeah. I'm a little drunk. Whatever. Fuck it.
Fuck I look like. No, really. Fuck I look like. I look like you got me fucked up is what I look like. You looking at me like I'm not supposed to be standing here next to you. Like, we in the same class, but your idea of advanced is too advanced and my mind can't match you. I think it's my vernacular. How I got half the consonants and twice the apostrophes, so my philosophy can't be valid. Like I speak slave and you speak slave master. This isn't a plantation, it's a classroom. White people think they run shit because they got money to buy a thesaurus. You say gargantuan, I say big as shit. Still big as shit, it don't really matter. I guess AP stands for asshole pretentiousness. And if you don't know what that means, look it up, find a synonym. You like doing that shit. You also seem to like judging a book by the color of its author, because apparently Maya Angelou is inferior due to her grammatical errors. But white man Mark Twain can write a whole novel with nothing but grammatical errors, and that shit is a literary masterpiece. Well, I can't help but to pardon my people's slang, because real niggas ain't real niggas if they don't got a twang. I want to apologize. I want to apologize for me mugging from the back of the classroom, talking about existentialism like a motherfucking boss. It's not your fault. Niggas can't vibe with me either, because as soon as I raise my hands for anything other than a bathroom break, I become a weirdo. And God forbid I excel. a 4.0 means I'm 4 shades lighter, because apparently intelligence is a white trait. At least that's what I've gathered. This one girl asked me, why would I use big words? So I could sound like you? You know what I sound like? Like I've read a book before. I act smart, so I act white. So I can't be black and be smart because black people are dumb. All this is self-hate. And to them, that's acceptable, because white people told us niggas not to read 300 years ago, and now niggas telling other niggas not to read. What are we afraid of? It's like we think giving 100% means getting 100 lashes, and my people don't even know that we're working with our oppressors, just passing on the torch, but we can't pass the bar, because the bar's been set so low we are crushing under the weight. And you expect me to cut class and get an F just to perpetuate the stereotype that's been instilled through this bullshit curriculum? Fuck I look like. Stupidity with my melanin, nor will I ever sacrifice my skin for the white man's standard. So never ask that I speak for anyone but me, represent anything but what I stand for, and fight for anything but what I believe in. And if anybody ever expects me to do anything but be myself, they got me fucked up.
Audible.com is offering a free 30-day trial for you, the listeners of Shethinkers. To check out their service and download a free audiobook of your choice, go to audibletrial.com/Shethinkers. This week, we personally recommend Sex and God, How Religion Distorts Sexuality, written by tonight's guest, Daryl Ray. It's all about the ways that religious guilt can keep you from having a better sex life. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/Shethinkers. Again, that's audibletrial.com/Shethinkers for any free audiobook of your choice. And we're back.
We're back.
Yay.
Alright, so we got our stupid sexist song next, but we're going to change it up a little bit this week.
Yup.
We talked about a couple, super sexist songs the last couple weeks. We did Baby It's Cold Outside and, what was the other one? Santa Baby.
Yeah.
And,
which we turned into just sexual innuendo, baby.
We did turn it into sexual innuendo, baby, which makes it so much better.
We fixed the sexist songs each episode.
And that's kind of what we're going to talk about tonight, because one common, I guess, rebuttal that I hear when you talk about any type of traditional thing that, is really sexist or promotes heteronormativity. I can't talk. I am sorry. Whenever we talk about anything that's traditional that promotes heteronormativity or cissexism or, just plain old regular sexism, people often say, oh, well, it's traditional, so you can't change it. Why do you want to change everything? It'll make it worse. Well, no, it doesn't, because we actually have an example of a traditional Christmas song that has in recent years actually been changed to not be sexist. What is it? Jolly Old St. Nicholas?
Yeah, that's our first one that we had.
We got 2 clips for that, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna play.
This is sexist Old St. Nicholas.
Well, I was gonna say let's play the 2 clips and see if people notice the difference. But if you're gonna, all right, we'll play the sexist one first.
It's pretty obvious.
Yeah, and then we'll play the non-sexist clip and see if you can figure it out. All right, go ahead.
Johnny wants a pair of skates, Susie wants a sled, Nellie wants a storybook, one she hasn't read.
All right, that was the non-sexist Jolly Old St. Nicholas. Now play the sexist version.
Johnny wants a pair of skates.
That's the same one. God damn it. This is why we can't have nice things.
No, it isn't.
We're nothing but professionals here.
All right, I guess I'll have to sing it. Oh, stop playing it.
What? I hate when the soundboard fucks up.
All right. Here's the sexist version. Johnny wants a pair of skates. Susie wants a dolly. Nellie wants a picture book. Yellow, blue, and red. That's the sexist version.
Yep.
Now I'm guessing everybody out there in Radioland has figured out what part was sexist. But let's go ahead and point it out just for those who didn't. All right, so when they say Johnny wants a pair of skates and Susie wants a dolly, they're basically giving the active
activity to the boy.
To the boy and the doll to the girl. And I see no reason why it should be Johnny with the skates and Susie with the doll. Like, it could easily be switched. The newer lyrics say Johnny wants a pair of skates, Susie wants a sled, and Nellie wants a book. Which is perfectly fine. And really, Nellie, I've always thought of as sort of a gender-neutral name.
Nellie makes me think of a gay man like in Arrested Development, to be fair.
Like I said, gender-neutral.
Right.
Like, I've seen Nellie referring to a man or a woman.
I have too.
And what have you. So, really, I think the newer version, not only is it better, but...
Because it flows better.
It flows better. I mean, the original one was like Johnny wants a pair of skates, Susie wants a dolly. It adds an extra syllable. I'm like, why didn't you just say doll first of all? Like, why not? But I think this one sounds better and, just is better for not promoting sexism. So that's our first one. And then the other one, I don't think we have a clip of.
No, we don't have an audio clip of it, but
which is fine. We can talk about it. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. There are a couple versions that I've seen. The sexist one goes, a pair of hop-along boots and a pistol that shoots is the wish of Barney and Ben. Dolls that will talk and will go for a walk is the hope of Janice and Jen. So you've got boots that you can hop along on and pistols that can shoot. So yay, boots and violent things for the boys. And then dolls that talk and go for a walk for the girls.
At least they're walking, I suppose.
Yeah,
that's
at least
slightly more active.
A little bit more active.
Still
and
sexist.
I don't want anyone to take this as, I hate dolls, because I don't. I had dolls growing up. I also had action figures growing up. I had plenty of active toys and nurturing type toys. And my cousins were all boys, and they didn't have any dolls. They had action figures and stuffed animals. But they played with the stuffed animals exactly the same way I played with my dolls. So I don't see what the difference is, why they can't just play with any of them.
I'm always skeptical of adults that say they've never played with dolls. Whether they're like... I've noticed it a lot with queer women. Like, I don't know if we're like, oh no, I want to prove my queerness or whatever. But I've noticed that theme a lot, and I'm just like, I know you played with dolls at least at some point in your life. Every kid does.
At least when you were a baby. And maybe they're just... using a very narrow definition of doll, because like action figures, what are they other than a cool looking doll?
Basically. I always combined my action figures and my sister's Barbies.
I don't have the lyrics up here, but I kind of remember them. The non-sexist lyrics pretty much just changed the names to be male and female in both lyrics.
Yeah.
So it's a pair of hop-along boots and a pistol that shoots is the wish of Bonnie and Ben. And then the other one is dolls that will talk and will go for a walk is the hope of Dennis and Jen. I think the name was Dennis.
Yep, it's Dennis and Jen.
Dennis and Jen? Okay.
Yeah.
And you see, it's like you can change the lyric and the rest of the song flows perfectly. It's not like you have to take out that whole lyric and make a big deal. You just change it.
Right.
And it doesn't hurt anyone. In fact, at least for the old St. Nicholas one, I think it made it better. And for the it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, unless you're really paying attention, you're not even really going to consciously notice it. This is something that kind of, it's not like really in-your-face sexism. It's what I like to call, or what I've picked up from other people who like to call it, casual misogyny or casual sexism. It just kind of slips in under the radar, and it's one of those things that just digs itself into your subconscious, and it feeds into all the other messages we hear. If we didn't constantly hear messages in the media and from parents and everybody that girls are nurturing and like dolls and boys are active and violent and like to go running and be, in athletics, then this wouldn't be a big deal. It wouldn't matter. I wouldn't care. But we do live in that society, and so it does matter. So we should make an effort to not encourage that bullshit.
Plus, that's just like, I hate when people say shit like that, because then it's just like a loop over and over again. Because, the socialization basically creates a self-fulfilling prophecy of
it does.
Women being more nurturing and boys being more violent, because that's how society encourages people to go in those genders.
I actually had a discussion about this on one of my friend's walls the other day. He said, my friend said that he wants to end the gender socialization that goes on in toy marketing. Mm-hmm. Because he's in Europe, and in a lot of places in Europe, the toy stores are starting to change to where they don't gender it anymore. They categorize the toys by themes, not by boy and girl, and that hasn't
What a concept!
I know, right? Wouldn't that just makes it easier to shop?
Yeah.
Like, really? Why would
just
you
put the action figures and dolls together, and put the building toys together, and the violence toys together?
Pretty much. Well, one person on his thread came on and was like, you just want everybody to be androgynous and not be boy or girl. And I was like, what? Where did you get that from? He just wants boys and girls to not feel pressured to like any one particular toy.
He just is encouraging, it's just a fucking toy. It doesn't have a gender.
It's a toy. There's nothing inherently wrong with anyone playing with a doll, or with anyone playing with a little water pistol, whatever.
Yep.
I know there are some people who would argue that the water pistol is wrong, but it's water.
Whatever.
But there's nothing inherently wrong with a boy playing with a truck.
Yeah.
There is something wrong with pressuring a boy to play with trucks.
Even if he doesn't want to play with trucks.
Exactly.
Stressing that kid out, and he's only 5 years old.
This person quickly went into, well, there are just some toys that boys and girls naturally gravitate. So that made me... Not only is he wrong, but even if boys and girls naturally gravitated to certain toys, why do we need to market it then?
Right.
Why would you be upset if we changed marketing to be more inclusive of all genders? I mean, if boys and girls naturally go to those toys, we don't need the gender socialization to go along with it. It'll happen naturally, right? So you shouldn't care if we change it.
Right.
Shouldn't matter, right? If socialization...
It'll still happen, because penis is magic.
He argued that socialization doesn't matter right now, but if we changed it to where we weren't pressuring boys and girls, then socialization would matter.
What?
It was a big whole circular thing, and it was stupid.
Yeah.
And I called him on it, and suddenly he started ranting about gays. It was weird.
That's what?
I don't... It was weird. Very, very, very weird.
This is why I don't argue with people on the internet.
Well, my friend typically doesn't have weird people like that.
Alright. So
anyways, that's my thing. Don't be sexist. It's easy to change. It's as easy as changing 2 words in a song.
Right.
And, there you go.
And look, history wasn't destroyed in the making by slightly
God.
altering the lyrics of a fucking song.
Christmas is ruined. The feminists stole my Christmas.
And my ice cream.
All right.
Can we just play that song every episode?
Yes, we can. All right, we have a new That's So Pinteresting this week. First of all, our drink this week is hot buttered rum, and it is delicious.
Oh my god, it's amazing.
I honestly wasn't expecting it to be this good.
It was way better than I was expecting it to be.
It'll probably be okay, but this was so good, and if this goddamn page will ever load, I can tell you what's in it. No, I don't want an ad. I hate ads that pop up. And now Windows 8 is... Dory, I'm going to kill Windows 8.
I'll let you.
I'm just going to kill it dead.
Go for it.
It's going to wish I didn't kill it so hard. Okay?
I'm looking forward to it.
So let me tell you the ingredients and how you make it and all that shit. All right. So you get a stick of butter. Yeah, that's right. A whole stick of unsalted butter.
It's already starting out beautifully.
About 2/3 of a cup of dark spiced rum. You can use a little bit more, a little bit less, however drunk you want to get. 2/3 of a cup of light brown sugar.
And I just want to point out, our rum that we used is like rot gut rum. Like, it's like the bottom shelf rum. And it still tasted amazing.
Yeah, it was still great. 2/3 of a cup of light brown sugar. I didn't really do the spices exact amounts, but whatever. 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground cloves. I didn't have the cloves, so I just put more cinnamon and nutmeg in it. And I said fuck that to the 1/8 teaspoon bullshit and just put a bunch in there.
Why don't they just say a pinch?
And I know, right? 1/8 of a pinch. Anyways, and about 4 cups of boiling water. So first, you mix the butter and sugar in a bowl. The butter doesn't have to be completely melted or anything, just, softened in the sugar and it just has to be sticking to all the sugar, basically, by the time you're done. We used a mixer, but I don't think you really need to.
My motor was broken on the mixer, so it didn't do a very good job.
Whatever, I don't think we really needed to. I could have done that with a spoon. Or a whisk. Anyways, and then after that, you add all of your spices and rum to the bowl. And you mix that together some more. By this point, the butter will be melting a little bit more. It'll be like in big clumps, basically. And after that, by that point, your water should be boiling, and you top the mixture with boiling water and stir until the butter melts. And then you ladle it into mugs and garnish with a cinnamon stick or orange zest. I didn't have cinnamon sticks either.
Yeah, we don't garnish here.
Yeah, no garnishes.
We're drinking this shit out of disposable cups. There's no need for garnish.
But seriously, that shit was delicious.
Hell yes, it was.
I really wasn't expecting it to be that great, and it was that great.
I wasn't either, because I was like, man, I know this rum is shitty that we're about to use, but it's the only thing we've got.
It wasn't like insanely strong, and it also wasn't insanely sweet. It was just really good. It's really good as a hot drink when it's cold.
Yeah, that one and the adult hot chocolate have been pretty awesome.
Yeah, they're both pretty good.
I like this hot alcohol thing.
The next thing I have is called, well, this says Rolo turtles, but I call them chocolate pretzel turtles, basically. You use a package of Rolos and pretzels and pecan halves. And basically preheat your oven to about 250 or 350 degrees, whichever. It really kind of depends on your oven. I did mine at 350 degrees. You put the pretzels flat on a foil-lined cookie sheet, put a Rolo on each pretzel, and then put it in the oven for 4 or 5 minutes. I did mine for 4 minutes and they were ready. But like I said, if you do it at a lower temperature, you might have to leave them in for 5. Don't melt the Rolos completely. Just get them soft. Then immediately after you take the pretzels out of the oven, and immediately after that you take pecan halves and you put one in each Rolo, and you just like press down, and it kind of like smushes the chocolate and caramel over the pretzel, and then you put it in the fridge and you just wait for it to harden, and it's like little candies on pretzel. It's so good. I made some tonight, and we were supposed to go to this party, but then we didn't. And so I made a whole bunch of them.
So we're here with you.
I know. And I told the boy that he could have a couple, so he goes over and grabs 2 and eats them, and then he wanted to get more. And I was like, what are you doing? You can't get more. This is for the party. And he was like, but you said I could have some. So now I have to make some more in the morning. Actually, we have a lot left, so.
Yeah, there's probably going to be plenty for the boy.
Probably don't have to make any more in the morning. Anyways, that's our Pinteresting segments.
That's so Pinteresting.
Do I sound like a little, like, homemaker mom when I talk like that?
No, shoot for NPR or something.
NPR?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think we're deadpan enough to do NPR.
No, we're not.
And we're way too drunk to be NPR, too.
I
don't think you're allowed to be drunk on NPR. Are we doing, I don't think I'm sober enough to do our, Do You Even Science Bros segment, but I'll give it a shot.
We could talk about it.
I mean, this kind of goes in with our queer Christmas theory anyway, so.
It does. I've seen it in a lot of places. Basically, there's this study going around, and and it claims that there are hardwired differences between male and female brains that explain why men are better at map reading and women are better at remembering a conversation.
So let's just start out from the get-go here. Here's the problem with these, whenever they do these hardwired things, you can't separate nature from nurture. You can't separate genetics from environment because they interact with each other. Your genetics can flip on and off depending on things that they interact with in the environment, and your genetics are going to affect what kind of environment you seek out for yourself. So they interact with each other. You can't isolate one from the other.
Yeah.
And they're examining adult brains, which have already been affected by socialization and all the other bullshit that works to create this. So it doesn't prove anything other than we force people to socialize in certain ways based on their genders.
The article I read about it was written by Cordelia Fine, and it's on theconversation.com. And she brings up a pretty good point that I hadn't thought of, mainly because I think she's a neuroscientist, and, I'm not. So she thinks of a lot of things that I wouldn't think of. But basically, she said that the differences in the brains might have more to do with brain size than the gender of the brain sex, because male brains are on average larger than female brains, and a large brain is not just a smaller brain scaled up. It's not how that works. So she said that larger brains create different types of problems that need to be fixed by different types of wiring, and so like there are different energy demands and things like that. So there are often physical differences for how the different size brains are arranged. So if you have on average a group that has larger brains than another group that has on average smaller brains, you would expect to see wiring different, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the people who, are in that brain or are that brain think differently.
Well, here's another fun thing that I love fucking with gender essentialism because trans people inherently fuck up gender essentialism for everybody. Because we're socialized the complete opposite, and yet that doesn't end up working, so it always fucks up everyone's ideas. But
yeah,
it's fun because trans women and cis women, their brains look similar, and trans men and cis men have similar looking brains when they're looked at. So clearly it's not a genetic thing or a cissexual thing or anything like that. Your assigned gender doesn't have any effect on this, clearly.
The other thing you want to look at is, and the author of this piece wrote a collaborative piece with some other neuroscientists, basically saying if you're doing gender studies in neuroscience, you have to make sure and guard against interpreting those studies in a way that confirms already accepted sexist biases. So basically, this idea that male brains are for map reading is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because the study itself had nothing to do with that. The authors of the study just kind of like put that in there at the end or something. They're just like, yeah, it might influence this thing. And then, how science journalists are. They just kind of run with it.
They're like, men evolved to read maps. Herpaderp.
Oh my god. So anytime you see something that wants to provide evidence that there are hardwired sex differences, and those sex differences just happen to coincide with the typical 1950s idea of what the differences between gender are, then you should really look at that askance, because these supposed hardwired sex differences are different in every culture. Some of them might have similar might have similar stereotypes about men and women because of rampant misogyny. Mm-hmm. They're typically going to give the better traits to men and the less highly esteemed traits to women. But typically, if you compare different cultures, and this is what a lot of anthropologists do, they look at different cultures and they see that, yeah, there's sexism, but the differences they attribute to men and women are different across cultures. So if it's hardwired, shouldn't it be the same across cultures? But it's not.
This is why Evo Psych is dumb. Yeah. Again, especially when it comes to gender. That's where Evo Psych fucks up the most.
And you already mentioned it, that this study was also done on adults.
Yep.
Who have already gone through all of their a lot of their socialization and everything.
Yeah, they're not even like young adults or children. Yeah. They're adults.
So a person's sex basically has a very significant impact on their experiences, and experiences affect your neurology. Mm-hmm. Your brain wires the way that your brain wires itself as you grow up, and as it grows and makes new connections. It makes those connections based on your experiences. You can't.
The old myth that you start out with the same number of brain cells and then you only lose brain cells after that is kind of a myth.
Kind of.
Yeah. I mean, you lose a lot of brain cells. Basically what it is your brain is at its biggest early on, but then you lose some and then you build some up and lose some and build some up, so that your brain becomes more specialized over time to do the shit that you do. So that's how gender shows up in the brain after years and years.
The sad part is that this study was actually they took the what was it, MRI scans of brains. I can't remember the exact term. We can post this later, this article later, so you can look up the exact term. But basically, they mapped out the wiring of all these people's brains, but they took that wiring and studied them from an even larger sample of people.
Yeah.
So this is a smaller sample of an even larger sample, and all they did was basically look at sex differences, when really this amount of data could have been used to look at a lot more things that are way more informative than what are the different sex differences, especially knowing that experience changes how your brain wires. And we know that men and women have different experiences. It just has so many problems. Always take it with a grain of salt when somebody's like, oh, well, this study confirms my sexist biases. And I encourage you to go and read Cordelia Fine's article on theconversation.com, because she says all of this way better than I can. We're gonna find more stuff, but we're drunk. So.
Yep. That, and it's gender essentialism. It's not hard to deal with.
Yeah, it's really not. You're like, gender essentialism, really? She's not like that,
right?
That's
if they had MRIs of newborns and their brains, and there were significant differences based on gender, that might be newsworthy. But until that's the case, nope. All right. I think that's all our extra segments.
I think it is.
So we've got one more commercial, and then we'll be back to celebrate Queer Christmas. Yay!
The holiday season is here, and for many it's a time for charity and goodwill. Unfortunately, some of the most prominent charities are either religious or problematic. So from now until the new year, we'll be offering you secular alternatives. This week, rather than donate to the Salvation Army, which discriminates against the LGBT community, even to the point of death, why not consider Red Cross? Despite its name, Red Cross is a completely secular organization that's been helping others since 1881. with an international infrastructure able to quickly respond to humanitarian crises all around the world. You can help them by donating blood, giving money, or volunteering your time. To find out more about how you can help your local Red Cross chapter, go to redcross.org. Again, that's redcross.org.
Hey, we're back.
Hey, what's up? Made myself another drink.
Yep, me too.
This time it's a whipped cream and some sort of Kool-Aid. I don't know. Whipped cream vodka. Sorry.
Yep.
I left out the important part.
Just whipped cream and vodka.
It's just whipped cream and Kool-Aid. No, it's vodka. We're just doing shots of vodka and licking whipped cream off each other.
Yep.
Anyways, I'm telling them too much about the after show here. So, we're here tonight to talk about queer Christmas / queer politics or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, queer Christmas.
And so, Dory, what did you want to talk about queer Christmas?
Well, so we do this thing with my kids where we call it gender-specific toy night, where people bring to the youth center either a toy that they were forced to play with that they really resented because it was based on their gender, or they bring a toy that they weren't allowed to have because it didn't fit with their gender, supposedly, but they really wanted it, and so they just went and bought it once they were out of their parents' house. That's basically the two categories.
Even if now they're, like, way too old for it.
Right, yeah. Oh no, it's so therapeutic.
I wanted this goddamn blue truck when I was 3, and goddamn it, I'm getting this goddamn blue truck.
It sounds silly, but when I did my first one, it was way back when I was an intern, and I was like really moved by it. I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna go buy me a goddamn doll.
That's funny.
I was like, this is the first time I've ever been in the pink aisle and not scared. It's weird, like, you don't even think about that shit until you do it as an adult. But, yeah, so do you have any things that you wanted for Christmas but you weren't allowed because of your gender, or anything fun like that?
I can't remember very well. My mom was pretty good about, and she still is, with Christmas and birthdays, just saying, what do you want?
Yeah.
Mine was more clothes that I was disappointed with. I didn't like dressing up girly when I was a kid, and I really hated getting more. I would actually kind of get excited when I outgrew a skirt or dress. My mom only made me wear it on like picture days and church, special occasion stuff. And so if I outgrew or like wore out a skirt or something, I would get really excited, and then suddenly I'd realize, oh shit, Christmas and birthday are coming up. And they'll take me out shopping, and my mom has a list, and it's like they would for the most part let me choose my own clothes, but she had a list of like what we needed.
Like 3 pairs of pants, 2 skirts,
yeah,
kind
something
of thing.
like that.
Yeah.
So it's like I got to choose my own skirt, but it's like, you know,
Still
go
a
out back
skirt.
and choose your own switch type of thing. And now I have so many dresses in my closet, it's ridiculous. I never would have expected to be the one to have so many, but I do. But when I was a kid, that was what I was disappointed about getting. I wasn't necessarily disappointed at clothes, but it was when I had to add to the skirts and dresses collection, I would get upset. And there were a couple other things, not stuff that I wasn't allowed to play with, but stuff that we got the Connect's Big Ball Factory, and I think it was actually a present for my older brother, but then my sister and I played with it the most. My sister, she ended up being an art major, but she was a little engineer. That's what she was growing up. She switched from engineering to art, though, in college.
Fuck this shit.
Which is kind of badass.
It's pretty awesome.
Because she has a painting workshop out in her garage, and then she has her regular full-time job and a baby and family and stuff. So, you know, my sister's pretty badass with that. But, yeah, we were the ones who ended up playing with it the most. And Dory and I were discussing the teddy bear stuff earlier.
Yeah.
Like, I had dolls, but I also had action figures. And I cannot remember whether or not I just inherited those from my brother or I was given them. I honestly can't remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember too many toys from my childhood. It was mostly the clothes.
Yeah, I mean, my sister and I shared our toys, so for the most part, I never felt like I missed out too much, but it sucks that it was never, like, it had to be, like, shared or whatever. Didn't have your own, so, but we always combined all our toys anyway, so, whatever.
Was there anything in particular that...
I mean, my biggest one was I had a Cabbage Patch doll when I was 5. His name was Boy, because I didn't know why I got a boy, so I just named him Boy. I was really creative at the age of 5.
I had this little brown puppy dog stuffed animal, and I think it's still at my mom's house. I won't lie, I'm pretty sure it's still there. It didn't get destroyed during my childhood. But it was brown, so I named it Brownie. I very specifically remember naming this dog Brownie. Which is weird, because I always liked cats better, but I was, in my memory at least, I was inseparable from this little puppy dog.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Well, apparently, and I didn't know any of this, which is a credit to my mom, but apparently my dad was not that thrilled that my aunt sent me a Cabbage Patch doll for Christmas one year. I was like super stoked. I was like, hell yeah, I got a doll. I'm gonna take it to daycare. You know, I carried Boy with me everywhere for years.
I carried Boy with me.
Yep, not the Boy.
You hear that, the Boy? We're coming for you. I'm gonna carry him around for years.
So, you know, awesome of my mom to be able to, I guess, like, hide those effects, because I had no idea. I was like, whatever, I just liked playing with my doll.
Well, my mom was pretty...
Because my mom didn't give a shit.
Like, my mom was pretty cool about just asking me what I wanted. Mm-hmm. If there was a toy that I really, really wanted, she would try to make sure that I got it for Christmas.
Yeah.
At least one of the things that I really wanted. And I assume it was the same for my brother and sisters. She would do her best to try to get us at least one of the things. And then my grandparents were the ones that would take us clothes shopping until I was, like, in junior high. So, yeah.
Yep.
My toys were pretty much either I got girl toys and like I never really had my own Barbies. I inherited those from my older sisters.
I never really knew what to do with Barbies other than make them lesbians together, which my sister and I did do often.
I never knew how. If I took, my sister would be like, "You can take their clothes off and change clothes," and if I took their clothes off, I never knew how to put them back on.
No, that's why all our Barbies were naked.
Yeah, so my Barbie was always...
They're already naked. They might as well get together. That's what happens.
And I do remember one time playing. My older sister's like 8 years older than I am, so I'm like 5 or something, and she's playing with Barbies in the living room. And so this means she's like in junior high, a little old for it. Which, looking back now, you know, this story is kind of funny. I walk in on her, and she's playing Barbies, and I was like, oh, I want to play. So she lets me play for a while, and I can't remember exactly how it goes, but Barbie and Ken were hanging out, and my sister's like, they're going to go on a date. Dirty Nerdy, you have to leave the room for a while. So I'm looking back on this, it's like, what was my sister doing with the Barbie? I didn't think it was weird at the time. I was just like, oh, okay. And I just walked away. But yeah, I think my sister used Barbie as porn or something when when she was first learning about sex. I don't know.
Whatever.
It was weird.
People always end up making Barbie fuck. That's just like what Barbies are for, I think.
I guess.
It's like your first step into sex education eventually.
Baby's first sex education. Baby's first sex doll.
Oh, God.
Oh, man. Did I just say that on the air, live?
No, that was just in your head.
Okay. I'm going to go with that.
Yeah.
Like, no, I didn't say that out loud.
But it's true, though. Like, we didn't even know what lesbians were, but that's what my sister and I did with the Barbies half the time. They were just lesbians.
So I don't know about, like, I guess...
Ken wasn't interested. That was pretty clear.
I mean, I guess I didn't have too many, like, traumatizing queer moments around Christmas when I was a kid until I got older in, like, high school and was more cognizant of the political discourse.
Yeah.
So I guess we can fast forward to modern day Christmases. Do you have any, like, problems in your family or extended family around the holidays having to deal with, like, bigotry and shit like that?
No, thankfully my mom and sister don't give two shits about my sexuality or gender. Like, even the fact that Chris and I are poly, they're like, whatever, that's cool. It helps that my mom's been in a non-monogamous relationship before, so it's not all that new. So it's like, all right, whatever. Still getting married, right? Yep. And then with Chris's family, like, things have gotten a lot better than they were early on, but that wasn't really anything queer related. That was just, you know, empty nest syndrome and things like that. So.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Yeah, so, I mean, I've lucked out. I've got a pretty awesome family. My favorite coming out story, though, is with my grandmother, when I called her and came out to her about being trans for the first time. And I hadn't talked to her for over a year, because I didn't want to, like, come out to her, because for some stupid-ass reason I thought she was going to freak out. And so I called her, and she was like, who is this? And I said, hey, Grandma, it's me. Is this Kelly? This is my mom. I was like, no, this is Tori. Oh, you sound different. Yep. That's kind of why I'm calling you. I'm a girl now. I don't give a shit if you're purple. Why haven't you called?
That's great.
So my grandma doesn't give a fuck.
Why haven't you called?
That's my fun Christmas story.
All right. I don't know. I'm the only one here that has random awkward occasions at their family things. Well, I'm not really out with my family.
I'm pretty out with my family. I'm sure there are family members of mine that are uncomfortable with me.
But they just don't
it's
say
fairly
anything.
Certain, but I don't interact with those family members. They're not in the same state as me, so it doesn't even. It's something I don't have to deal with if I don't want to.
I don't know. It's like most of my family pretty much lives around the same area, so you know, 2 times out of the year, Thanksgiving and Christmas, we all get together. Yay!
You can't escape it.
and then you remember why you don't get together more often.
Yeah.
And like there are parts of my family that I really love, like when you really are down and you really need something, they're pretty much there for you.
Yeah.
But then there are parts that I really cannot stand, and it's this. I know I've ranted to you about it a couple times, but it's this whole thing in my family where the younger generation, like my generation of kids in the family, I still call us kids even though all of us are adults now.
But you do it anyway.
Yeah. My kids' generation are all pretty okay with, like, LGBT and stuff like that. They don't really give a shit. Like, it's either apathy or they're supportive.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, I don't, like, if I were to come out to them, I don't think they would care.
They'd be like, all right,
At least, that's what I thought until last New Year's Eve when I talked to my oldest sister and found out that she's anti-gay marriage.
Oh.
And supposedly so is my niece, but we'll see. She's a freshman in high school. I was too back then. We'll just have to see.
Right.
But I think my niece could tell that my sister was floundering in that argument. So, anyways, and I've never come out to anyone in my family. I think my siblings know. My oldest sister asked me one time when I was like a freshman in college if I was a lesbian, because I hadn't brought any boys back to meet the family in a while. And I almost just said yes. Because I didn't know what I was, because I was dating, and I was seeing a couple girls, I was seeing a couple guys, and, it was nothing serious. Like, even if, like, there was no one to bring home either way.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't really know what to say, and I was just like, nope, not lesbian.
Try again.
I didn't.
Click.
Well, we were face to face. This is when I
know.
was, like, spending most of my nights at my sister's. And so we've had some, like, checkered past, like, I think I've had a couple opportunities to say it, and it's just, when I come close to it, it's like something happens or somebody says something that suddenly makes me lose my nerve, and then I'm like, oh, fuck it. But, like, my mom last year flipped out on me for marching in the Pride Parade.
Why?
I don't know. She just suddenly, like, flipped out on me about it and remember I was in a big texting war with her all day.
Yeah.
It was awful. And I was like, shut the fuck up. I just want to enjoy this.
Right.
And so it's like every holiday we get together and people just say casual heteronormative shit. And it's not just heteronormativity. I can forgive that for people who...
For heteronormative people.
For people who are hetero and lead a pretty heteronormative life, I can kind of forgive them making statements that might be exclusive of LGBT, especially if they don't know that anyone's there. You shouldn't be exclusive, but, I can understand that. But they don't just do that. They go one step further and say bigoted shit.
Yeah.
Like, a lot. And if I do anything to call them out, then I'm the one who's causing trouble, even though all the younger kids that are like my age or around my age pretty much agree with me. The only people that are in my generation of kids who doesn't is my oldest sister and her husband, and I don't count them anymore.
Yeah.
So like my brother and on down pretty much all agree with me. They're like supportive, or they wouldn't support bigots basically.
Mm-hmm.
But they also think that if I call out the bigotry, then I'm the one causing problems. And that really pisses me off. I'm like, no, I'm not the one causing this. They can keep that shit to themselves.
Right.
If they don't want, if they don't want to start something, then they can keep that shit to themselves. I'm not just gonna let bullshit slide.
Right.
Not gonna happen. I let it slide for plenty of other things. I'm not going to let it slide for this. And it makes it really hard to discuss it with my siblings and explain to them why it's so important to me when I don't feel like I can come out. Because it's like, if they think that I'm disruptive for calling out bigotry, what do they think it's going to mean when I come out as bisexual? They're going to be like, what was... I can just hear their voices in my head saying, well, what was the point? You're marrying the boy anyways.
Right.
And so...
I hate when people do that shit.
And it's like, then I also have to come out as monogamish.
Right.
And even then I shouldn't have to.
Yep.
I just know that it's going to be a mix of, what was the point? You're just causing trouble, and we don't believe you because you're marrying a man. So, I don't know. I have I get like filled with anxiety when I have to do like Thanksgiving and Christmas stuff with my family. Because I don't want to face that shit.
That's one of the sucky things about being bi. There's so many awesome things about being bi.
So many awesome things.
But one of the sucky things is that, basically by chance, your queerness will either be recognized or it won't be by the majority of people you interact with.
And
even then, it might not be recognized accurately the other 50% of the time.
Yeah, I was going to say, if your queerness is recognized, then they'll just say, well, you're just a lesbian.
Yeah.
The boy actually told me about a time when he defended bisexuality as an orientation to some people at school. He was like studying with some friend in class and she's a lesbian, and he went out to lunch with her and a couple of her friends, and I guess they're all lesbians too. And somebody said that if a bisexual is dating someone of the opposite gender, then they're no longer bi. And he was like, does that mean that all straight people who aren't dating anyone are asexual?
Right.
Or
that doesn't make any sense.
He said something like that. It's like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Your sexuality doesn't change.
Right.
That doesn't change it based on who you're having sex with at the moment. Because I know plenty of gay guys who have had sex with women.
Right.
And vice versa. Women who have had sex with gay guys. I meant lesbians who have had sex with men, but whatever. I don't know. And like Dory said, it's just by chance.
Yeah.
Like I could have easily not ever met the boy and met the girl.
Yep. Right.
You know, that could have easily happened, but it just didn't. So
yeah.
You know, and then I would have had to come out to my family.
Right.
So I guess if they ever figure out that this is me, hi Mom. I like girls.
Woot.
Your lectures to me my senior year of high school when my two friends were lesbian together did nothing. All right, so that's my ranting about my family and stuff.
And biphobia.
And biphobia a little bit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of labels in the quilt bag. I hate that
No,
term.
I'm not going to use quilt bag. Queer community. There, it includes everyone.
Queer
Done.
community. I actually had a friend
or the queer alphabet soup, or whatever you want to call it.
I've had friends ask me, like, what does queer mean? Does it just mean gay? I'm like, it can.
It's everyone. All the queers.
I just say that it's typically an umbrella term that means anyone who's not cis and hetero.
Yep.
If you're not cis hetero, then like it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So you've got like LGBT, LGBTQ, quilt bag, which I'm not a fan of, queer community, and then isn't there like gender and sexuality minorities or something?
Yeah, gender and sexual minorities, something like that.
And I'm sure there's even more, just for the umbrella term.
Yeah, I like queer community and GSM. I like those too.
Yeah, I just
queer
like
community a little more.
I use queer community and LGBTQ depending on if I'm talking with older people or younger people.
But yeah, so you may, the uninitiated may be wondering, like, what's the deal with all these labels? Well, humans are complex. Go figure. So there's lots of different labels to describe lots of different people, and I like to think of the labels as more descriptions than prescriptions. Like, yeah, there's not a list of attributes. Holy shit, it's raining outside or something.
Yep.
Sorry, I got distracted. There's no
it makes sense that we have so many.
Lesbian means you have to fit these 5 criteria. It's
Right.
not like that. It's more descriptive.
Yeah. That's all that labels are anyway when it comes to identity is they're shorthand for all of these things basically. So
and you can't necessarily assume that anyone who takes on that label is gonna mean it in the exact same way that another person who takes it on does. So if
it's close enough.
It's close enough.
That's what labels are for.
Yeah. And so what I like to say is that just accept the label that somebody gives you for themselves. Like if they say they're a lesbian, all right, you're a lesbian. If you really want to know more and you think that information is important for your relationship for some reason, or for some reason you should know more, then you can ask them exactly what they mean by that. I have people do that all the time with bi.
Yeah.
If I just say I'm queer, people tend to back off. I guess they just think it means gay, so it's easier. I don't know. But anytime I come out as bisexual or even mention it, people are like, what? What does that mean? And then I have to explain it, and then they're like, so you like everyone? And I'm like, no.
Do you like all people of the gender you're attracted to?
It's
fucking
ridiculous.
monosexuals.
Goddamn monosexuals.
Monophobia.
Wait, it's biphobia.
I'm just making fun of the reverse
Hashtag
sexism
creeping
thing.
monophobia.
Yeah, there you go. Those damn fence-sitting bisexuals.
So you might be at home thinking, well, how do I know if I'm one of these things? Well, usually the Wikipedia articles are pretty good.
Right.
That's what I suggest. I'm like, go look at the Wikipedia article. If you think it describes you, then you're that, basically. I can't stand label policing.
Nope.
Can't tell you how many times people have been like, well, you're just straight, or you're just lesbian, or you're actually pansexual. Like, no, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care if you think pansexual fits me better.
That's not what I'm going with.
That's not what I'm going with. And I'm going to be completely honest. The reason I stick with bisexual and queer is because I have emotional connections to that word that are more than just intellectual. And it has to do with the fact that those were the things I landed on when I was when I had no idea what I was, and I heard the definitions for these. I was like, holy shit, that's me.
Yep.
And I don't get that when I hear pan. When I hear and there's nothing against people who use that label, you know. If
it's
you
really
think
a
that's
generational
you, then that's fine. But for me, it's like I can't get away from the feeling that when I first heard the definition of queer and bisexual, I was like, that's me. That's like the activist definition, not the derogatory definitions.
Well, yeah.
So really, I can't separate that out for myself, and I know that experience isn't there for everybody who's heard the word, so I just don't label police. I hate that. I'm like, no. If they feel that describes them, then it describes them.
I think you can discuss the
boundaries, I guess?
Well, I mean, you can discuss labels without being label police.
Yeah.
I guess, you know.
I mean, it's good to discuss the boundaries between what is pan and what is bi.
Yeah.
But what gets me is when someone starts saying a particular person has crossed that boundary or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, no, shut up.
That's the difference between just talking about labels and then being the label police.
And a lot of that, to me, has to do with the fact that you can't read minds. All you can see is their outward behavior and hear the words that they say. And so their outward behavior might not exactly match what's on their mind. Like, there might be someone who's lesbian, but is in a long-term heterosexual or hetero-romantic relationship because they didn't realize they were a lesbian until years later or something. So you can't look at their behavior necessarily and say, oh, well, they're not lesbian. And it goes the same with bi people. You can't look at someone who's in a long-term relationship with a woman and just say she's a lesbian. She could be bi, she could be pan, she could be a Z and actually identify as agender, and then fuck you. And then all those other terms mean fuck off. Then, you know, it just kind of goes out the door and identify as whatever you want. But yeah, that's how I feel about label policing. And we talked about biphobia a little bit, and I kind of want to talk about it more. I had a blog post that I wrote about it a while ago. That was Dan Finke actually put it up on Camels with Hammers back in July. So you can look it up if you want, but it was called biphobia or something like that. It was basically, I read this report, this really giant report that was done on the experience of bisexuals, both in hetero communities and in queer communities, and as it turns out, they face a lot of marginalization in both.
Hooray!
Yay! And so they went through and they had here's 15 common misconceptions or stereotypes about bi people. So my post was basically going through and being like, yep, I experienced that in my LGBT group. And I would just go through all the ones that I experienced and explain why it was shitty. And it also kind of explained why I'm not part of an LGBT group now.
Yeah. Because
of this stuff. So I kind of want to talk about not necessarily the problems, but how we might fix that. And I think one way to do it is to create better safe spaces within the queer community. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I know you work at a youth center, so do you have any insights on things that you have done or that have been implemented there?
Well, I think it's interesting with the with the younger generation is that it seems like I'm dealing less with gay and lesbian teens and more with bi and trans teens. It seems like that's kind of how things are shifting. And I think it's because bisexual and trans people have largely been forgotten by a lot of the recent gay rights movements.
I've heard it called the lesbian gay hegemony.
Basically.
I don't know how to say that word.
Hegemony?
Hegemony? Hegemony? Hegemony.
Hegemony, yes.
It's hegemony.
Yes.
That's the word I was looking for. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so now I've already forgotten what your question was because of hegemony.
How do you implement better safe spaces for bisexuals and people who aren't LG in the LGBTQ?
Yeah, I think some of the most important ways you can do that is just by having B and T leaders in your organizations that you have.
What a novel idea.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what all diversity things come back to over and over again, regardless of what studies are, is basically if you have people in power of that group, then more people of that group will get involved with it.
I was reading an article earlier. It was basically, it was actually directly in response to something Dan Savage did. Basically, Dan Savage was like, hey, bi people, you should come out. That'll lower the stigma, so you should come out. And that's a little tone deaf coming from Dan Savage. With the shit. I know he's trying to reform whatever, but he annoys me. And the shit that he said about bi people in the past, it's like, well, you know, you helped to create and maintain social stigma against bisexuals, and now you're telling bisexuals that we're in control of that social stigma? No, shut up. And this, someone at Consider the Tea Cozy wrote an open letter to Dan Savage, and they had a very compelling argument, and I hadn't really thought of it this way, but one of the reasons that I think it's she pointed out that bisexual people often don't have a community to come out to.
Mm-hmm.
Like gays and lesbians, basically, they spent decades working on LGBT communities that were, you know, supposedly LG, B, and T.
They're mostly G.
Yeah,
let's be
I know.
real.
Let's be honest here.
Even in our own neighborhood, there's one lesbian bar, and the rest are gay bars. I mean, it's not like lesbians aren't allowed in the gay bars, but there's only one lady loving lady bar in the whole neighborhood.
Anyways, so they spent decades basically creating communities where lesbian and gay people could feel comfortable coming out. And even Dan Savage himself, and this is all in the letter, has encouraged lesbian and gay people in more backwards communities that aren't supportive to move to communities that are supportive. Well, the problem with being bi is that there aren't very many supportive communities. They tend to encounter marginalization from their straight communities as well as from their queer communities.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have no safe place to open up to, then you don't come out. You don't see the point. And it's so I mean that makes a lot of sense to me because I don't feel like it's safe for me to come out to my family, and I've only just in the past few years felt safe coming out to all my friends, but that's because I have a very, very cultivated friends list, and by cultivated I mean I weeded out a lot of the bullshit. If somebody starts ranting and raving about gays, I'm like, oh, we're done, go away, get the fuck out. So that's why I felt safe coming out. And the more I felt safe coming out to my friends, the more confidence I built about myself. And now I feel safe coming out to perfect strangers if the topic comes up. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm bi. And 3 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to do that. I could barely come out to my friends, let alone, you know, classmates and coworkers. And like, I don't just like bring it up. It just comes up, you know?
Yeah.
Stuff comes up, and I'm like, yeah, I dated that girl once or something, and they're like, what?
Yep.
And so I think that this person, I forgot where I was going. Anyways, so she says that in order for us to even take Dan's, you know, advice and come out, we would first need communities that we can come out to, and the current queer communities aren't very amenable to that.
Yeah.
So, be nice to bis. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, I would say I don't necessarily have a problem with saying that the best thing you can do for your community is come out, because that's pretty much the best thing you can do, is being out. But, again, with this article, or I guess it's a response to it, Dan Savage had said, it's a two-way street. So if you want more bi people to come out, then you need to be accepting of bi people.
Exactly.
And therefore, more bi people will come out, which will be better for all of us. So everybody wins if you're not an asshole.
Exactly. We should make t-shirts. Everybody wins if you're not an asshole. I like that. We can have everybody wins if you're not an asshole, and fuck it, we'll do it live.
Fuck it, we'll do it live. Those are our new
Fuck you,
catchphrases.
O'Reilly. We're taking it. It's ours. We're a communist collective, and that shit belongs to the people.
Yep.
I stole that joke from Steven Olson.
What is Pat Robertson's version of feminism?
I felt compelled to say that.
Aren't we practicing witchcraft and all that other fun stuff?
I don't remember.
Killing husbands and...
Yeah, we have to murder our husbands and children and become lesbians and practice witchcraft and then be communists, I think.
Hang on, I'm pulling it up on
Are you
Wiki
looking it
quote.
up?
Yes.
There are a lot of queer communists. I have noticed that. There are a lot of them. In fact, I met a girl on OkCupid who's a queer communist, and she actually lived in a commune with her partner for like a year or something. Which I think is awesome.
Here it is. The feminist agenda is not about equal rights for women. It's about a socialist, anti-family political movement that encourages women to leave their husbands, kill their children, practice witchcraft, destroy capitalism, and become lesbians.
Wait a minute.
Woo!
Why would I leave my husband and kill my children? I would kill my husband and keep the kids so I could raise them up to be
gay with your lesbian wife now, right? That's how gays happen.
Yes, that's how gays happen. We raise children to be gay. That's why most gays, came from gay households.
Yep,
oh wait.
Totally. No.
It's not that at all, is it?
We come out of straight people. That's who we come out of.
I came out of a, supposedly straight person. I don't know. I can't read my mom's mind. Or my dad's. I don't know. So, all right. We talked about labels. We talked about being disappointed at Christmas and creating safe spaces and how much Dan Savage annoys me. Oh, there were gay marriage announcements this week.
Holy shit, yeah.
Two states.
Who saw fucking Utah coming, man?
Utah. Now, they didn't necessarily...
Utah is a little different, though, so
it's kind of half.
Yeah.
They didn't necessarily make it legal in Utah. They just struck down the ban. The article I read said that there were some counties already issuing marriage licenses, though.
Which means...
So, I guess it is legal?
It's legal. I guess we'll find out in a couple days.
Basically, the same thing happened in Arizona. The highest state court in Arizona ruled that gay marriage is legal. In both cases, it was because, the state has no reason to deny them. They you gave us no compelling reason to care whether or not gays get married, so fuck off. Let them get married. That was an exact quote of both judges.
Fuck off. Let them get married.
They just happened to say the exact same thing, or they were quoting each other. I'm not sure.
That's pretty intense.
Exact quote of the court opinion. So that makes 18...
18, yeah.
It's 17 with Arizona.
17 with New Mexico.
Was it? Oh, it wasn't Arizona. It was New Mexico.
Fucking Arizona's
I'm sorry.
not gonna...
I'm drunk. I'm sorry. They're next to each other.
We can't have Arizona and Utah in the same week. Come on.
Aren't they next to each other, though?
New Mexico and
Yeah, New Mexico
Utah.
and Arizona are next to each other.
New Mexico and Arizona are.
That's why I got... it's my lady brain. I can't read maps. I'm better at remembering conversations.
Yep.
The boy can tell you all about that. Because when we fight, I remember stuff he said. Get it?
Huh?
It's a joke. Ha 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 ha. Bitchy women. Ha ha ha. No, that's not funny.
No.
Sexist jokes aren't funny, Dory. Stop it.
Oh, I'm too drunk to not laugh anymore.
I told you at the beginning I was going to make you laugh as much as possible.
Yep.
All right, so yay. Someone on my Facebook was funny because I was like, does this make it 18? And they were like, well, technically Utah is only like half, and then DC isn't quite a state, so that's only like 25%, so 17.75.
Nice.
But whatever, I'm just going to round up and say 18. 18 states now.
Basically.
Which is pretty
It's
awesome.
18 until proven otherwise, basically.
Yes. Prove me wrong, Internet. Prove me wrong. All right. Did we have any other gay stuff to talk about?
Not really. You want any Christmas stuff to talk about?
That Christmas
that's
tree
vaguely
you
queer?
have is pretty gay.
It is. Oh, you know what? Actually, I did think of something. Have you ever watched the old school Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, like the stop motion cartoon?
Yeah, I vaguely remember it.
With the abominable snowman.
Are you gonna queer it?
It's already queer. So this is the one that has the island of misfit toys, which are where all the queers go in Toyland, apparently. Santa's a really big asshole in this movie too.
He's an asshole in general, right?
But he's like a super asshole in the
Like,
Rudolph movie.
He gives poor kids less toys, or none at all.
What the fuck's up with that, man?
Poor kids are just worse than rich kids, apparently.
Apparently. According to Santa.
Bastard.
Chris and I watched the Rudolph movie when we were snowed in a few weeks back. And
I have to take off my ugly Christmas sweater.
It's not ugly.
You're just saying that because it shows my cleavage.
Yeah, I mean, I see your cleavage all the time, but it's still nice.
All right, so Rudolph.
Well, so when we were watching it, Chris was like, Santa's an asshole and a dictator, and the elves are slaves. What the fuck is going on here?
I thought he was just going to say Santa's an asshole and a dick. Which would work too.
Right.
Oh wait, we're not doing gendered insults like that.
Everyone has an asshole. That one's not gendered.
Well, the dick part.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
Dicks. So we were watching it, and there's Herbie the elf, who has the most fabulous hair ever. Like, none of the other elves even have hair, they just have hats on. And Herbie has this, like, very artistically done little swoosh in the front of his hair. And he's supposedly kicked out of being a Santa's elf because he wants to be a dentist, but I think it's because he wants the D. It's pretty obvious. And then Rudolph gets ostracized for being weird, and so do all the toys from the Island of Misfit Toys. There's so many queer things going on in that movie.
So many. I never actually thought about queering Rudolph. So, like...
I didn't either until Chris and I were watching it together.
So, like, if Rudolph they're making fun of him for being gay, that's why that's why he's a misfit. So what does the red nose stand for?
I don't know. Some stereotype that gays are good at?
Like, he puts him in charge of the reindeer at the end. Hold on, I'm getting there.
Okay.
I'm gonna get there. It's taking a while. Ostensibly because his nose shines so he can see through the fog.
Mm-hmm.
But if the nose shining thing really is just a what's the word?
A metaphor?
Metaphor for being gay. Is it a symbol or a metaphor?
Whatever.
I forget the literary.
Hashtag style choice.
There you go. If it's just a metaphor for being gay, then what does it mean that it was foggy that night? Like, what did that mean?
It was super straight out that night.
It was super straight out that night, guys.
It was so hetero. Couldn't see anywhere.
Maybe it meant that Santa had a lot of queer kids on his list.
He's like, what do I give these queers?
And
I don't
he needed
know.
Rudolph's help. And he never realized how much help he needed from Rudolph. I don't know. You're the one who queered it. I thought you would have an answer to this.
No, that wasn't anywhere I was going, but...
Oh, okay. Did you have any other place you were going with this? Or did I completely derail?
I think it's been sufficiently derailed.
And I think I'm sufficiently drunk.
Is that our cue?
I think that's our cue to go watch scary movies and tweet about them.
Yay. That's all the time we have tonight. Join us next week when we talk about Disney.
That's all the sober we have tonight.
Yes, that too.
Disney.
Yeah,
Woo!
Disney next week. It's going to be fun.
It's a secret about what we're going to say about it.
And I will say this. It's not necessarily angry feminist Disney. We're going to tell you how you can still enjoy Disney movies.
Don't give away too much.
Nope.
I want them to be sitting on the edge of their seats for a whole week.
It's going to be a cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger.
Be sure to follow us on Spreaker and Twitter and like us on Facebook. You're at Dirty Nerdy 2, right?
Yeah, I'm at Dirty Nerdy 2 because some jackass took it.
That bastard.
I know.
And I'm at trans-and-godless on Twitter.
All right.
Yay. So for tonight's counter argument, we have, what's this jackass's name again?
Fuck, I don't know.
We don't even say this.
He was ranting about the Civil War and taxation or some bullshit. I don't know. He's an asshole.
I love this counter argument.
It's great.
It's like my favorite segment.
If you look at the history of this federal government and what it's done, I don't think there's anybody among us that would defend slavery. I sure wouldn't. I think it was morally reprehensible. But you look at 1862 was the foundation of the IRS. Lincoln basically started, they didn't call it the IRS, but that's when it started. That's when the government started becoming God and taking over this country. We the people, we got to get behind this 10th Amendment and fight for this 10th Amendment because we don't want to have to use the Second Amendment. We're a peaceful people, but we will not be the generation that lost our liberty. People ask me all the time, you know, I don't know what I'll tell my children. I don't know what I'll tell my grandchildren. Well, I'm not going to have that problem because I'm not going to be here. I will lay down my life for my liberty just like my forefathers did.
I'll say. Now stand back. I gotta practice my stabbing.
No! Please! Help! Stop it! Police!
Lift me up, let me go all silvery. Planet smooth while you're lying
you, honey. Miss me sweetly. I had you find me. See, saw my toy store. Never know what I'm looking for. Right on top of every wave the ocean makes. Right on top of every wave the ocean makes. Every breath the world takes.
Are we doing an Easter egg this week?
I was typing on Facebook. What's going on?
It's Easter egg time. Are we doing something?
Happy Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, everybody!
Yay!
Even though the Hanukkah part was like back in Thanksgiving.
Yeah, but whatever. You get it.
Yeah. Yay! Happy Queer Christmas!
Yay!